All right, welcome to Spartan fans. I am Guy Danhoff, and I'm here with Coach B. Coach, obviously you had the season opener and certainly did not have the outcome that you wanted. However, in the first half, you had a very close game. Why don't you give us your reaction to especially the first half?
Well, really, I think that was the first three quarters was a really close game. Give all the credit in the world to Lion. They really came out and battled, and I don't think either one of us really knew what the other side had, which is a little bit interesting going into that game. So, the first quarter on both sides of the field, I think we were trying to feel each other out, see what was new and different, see what they were going to do or wanting to do offensively and defensively, and try and make adjustments accordingly. But yeah, it was a really close game. I think at the end of the first quarter it was 0-0, and then they ended up getting a field goal, and we ended almost ended the half with a 7-3 lead and gave up a crucial kickoff return. That was a big momentum swing. Right. There's no doubt that definitely didn't send us into halftime the way we wanted, especially with the high that we just had with the touchdown. But overall, I thought our team really battled. I thought their team battled hard, and by the end of the first half, it was anybody's ball game.
It certainly was, and what was really interesting, it seemed like that every time when they would get a defensive stop and then they would go back on offense, they were trying to go for the jugular as much as they could, and yet the defense responded very well to that. In fact, I think one of the things that stood out to us on your defensive side to combat their offense is that you guys had 33 solo tackles. You had 10 tackles for losses. Coach, respond to that.
Yeah, the defense, they rose to the challenge, rather. They every time they went out there and competed their butts off, and give them a lot of credit. I thought the offense did too, and one of the reasons Lion was going, as you said, they were trying to get that kill shot on us, was we were not in great field position with our offense for a lot of the second quarter and the first half, or especially the third quarter. We were pinned deep. Getting out of that is always a challenge, and give credit to their punter. He pinned us inside the 5 on 2 back-to-back possessions. To me, that was almost more of a momentum swing than the kickoff return, because when your offense is struggling and then you've got to go 97 and 99 yards, that makes it extremely tough. So the defense, they went out and they just continued to battle, and a lot of that goes to some of the leadership that's out there. Dunvante Johnson and Jalen Cowley and Kenyon Perkins, those guys. Every time they came over to the bench, they were picking up things. And Coach Bowden hit on this during one of our staff meetings, was the difference between last year when we were kind of saying, hey, what are they doing out there? Whereas this year, every time those guys came to the bench, whether it was defensive line, corners, secondary, linebackers, it didn't matter. They were picking up things out there and relaying that information to us and allowing us to make some adjustments. That was a big credit to them.
Well, I'll tell you what, another thing that looked very impressive was the speed of the defense, how athletic you are. Both two of your linebackers of the 3-4 had double-digit tackles. Perkins, as you just mentioned, had 4 solo tackles, 8 assists for 12 on the game. And then, of course, Colin Thomas, 5 solo, 5 assists, also for 10 tackles. And again, that's kind of what you guys were scheming all along, knowing that your up front guys need to battle that rush so that your linebackers can make more plays. Is that pretty much the scheme that you're looking for?
Yeah, it was. We felt in the offseason for a couple reasons that making that adjustment was going to be beneficial to us, just putting a little bit more speed out there. In today's day and age, as much spread as we see, you've got to be able to combat speed with speed a little bit and be able to match up with it. So that was one of the things that we were looking at. There was a couple other things that led us to making that change, but we knew all along that there was going to be a lot of speed. That was something we talked about throughout training camp, was the speed of the defense, and even coming out of spring ball, that was something that we noticed. So I was really proud of the way they played. Colin Thomas, being a redshirt freshman, he had a heck of a ball game for his first game out, and was one of the dogs of the week on defense. And what Jalen gave us from a safety position, and then what the guys up front did. I can't talk enough about what the defensive line and what our linebackers did, because we were able to get pressure without always bringing pressure. And anytime you can do that, that helps your secondary, allows you to play a little bit more zone. And we were able to get some sacks and some TFLs out of it.
Well, what was really interesting, Kevin Paulus and I were making comment on this on the broadcast, is that on back-to-back possessions, on second and third down, you guys had sacks back-to-back without necessarily blitzing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, Coach Bowden's done a great job with the scheme and, getting these guys to understand what their role is. And,
right.
and one thing that we really talked about in the offseason and what we've done kind of in the past is we haven't moved our defensive line as much.
Right.
We kind of put them in the gap, and some of that was due to youth and what we felt like they were capable of. But really what we want to do now is we want to try and create some movement, get these guys, because we are faster, get them in space and,
right.
And let them win. So I thought they did an excellent job throughout the night.
All right, so the big question, I'm sure all the Spartan fans' minds right now, including ours, here at MBU, right? Obviously, you said it best, one game certainly does not define a season. However, what have you done to change or improve this week heading into the Siena Heights game?
Well, really we sat down and talked to them about Monday, and I think more than anything, yes, we need some mental toughness. We've done some conditioning to make sure that we're in,
right.
In shape, and I really don't consider us not being in shape. That was a big point of emphasis coming into training camp,
right.
and something we put a lot of emphasis on, and the guys have worked really hard on. I think there was a couple of things that played into that. We had one of the hottest nights of the year. Somebody told me at kickoff it was about 103 heat index, which we hadn't seen.
Right.
And just throwing yourself into a ball game with new things, and you throw that on top. We didn't handle it very well, but ultimately, I think the biggest thing is we've still got to learn how to win, and we've got to learn to have confidence in ourselves and confidence in what we're doing and
right.
execute that. We had a big talk about things that winners do and things that losers do.
Right.
Just how the mentality is different. But I've been proud of the way these guys have bounced back, and obviously this is a big week against a really good team. So ultimately, we're still a work in progress.
Right.
I think the first game kind of shows us where we are. Obviously, I think every team coming into training camp has really high hopes and feels really good about things. But until you get in that first ball game and you can really
right.
measure yourself, it becomes difficult to see exactly what you need to work on. And now we know, and we can go out and work on improving that.
Okay. So with Siena Heights, there's no secret they are a very big team. And as you know, last year when you guys played them on the road, they shut out the team. I believe it was like 32 or 33 to nothing, something like that. And moving forward, knowing that they're big, so that's no surprise. You played them before. So what are you looking to do to combat the fact that they are big and strong?
Well, we have to use our technique, and we have to know that they're big and strong. So, as a
right.
defensive lineman, we've talked a lot about them, that if you're going to try and rush and bull rush right down the middle of them, it's not going to work.
Right.
You've got to use your technique. We've got to get on edges, so to speak.
Right.
You can't rush right down the middle of somebody. We have to be strong and physical at the point of attack on both sides of the ball. Last year I look at we had a big play to Deontay Cox on the first drive. We got down to the 1 yard line, couldn't get it in.
Right.
And then on the flip side, then, on first or second down, we let them out, and they break off a big run and go down and put points on the board, and we never mentally recovered. So, again, we have to understand that there's ebbs and flows in every game and not
sure.
let those things totally take us out of what we're trying to do.
Right.
But at the same token, I think it's important that, we counter that physicality, and that's something we've talked a lot about,
right.
so it's a great test for us.
Well, it's going to be exciting. Last question I have for you, Coach. Obviously, I have kind of your 2-deep chart. I see that Johnny Reed's going to play at center. What's the status on your starting center?
Yeah, Cody, originally during the game we thought that he broke his leg. He got x-rays, they were negative, so he's got a high ankle sprain. He'll be rehabbing, but he'll be out a couple weeks. It's probably in the 3-4 week range that he'll be out. Ultimately, he'll see the doc again next week and give us an idea. But Johnny's done a great job at center.
Yep.
Gives us an opportunity to work some new guys in, and I've got all the faith in the world in Johnny Reed, obviously being a senior, and he's really motivated. He didn't play the best ball game he ever played, and the thing that I love about Johnny is how much it matters to him. So we'll just keep going.
Well, Coach, he's a gamer. One question I do want to make is, again, now looking at the quarterback, I see that you have listed second is the freshman, Lucas Rockford. Could you give us a status update on Gunner?
Yeah, Gunner has an AC sprain in his shoulder. It's his non-throwing shoulder, so I don't suspect he'll be out very long. You know, he's rehabbing, getting that back. So as long as he gets a little bit of strength in there and gets to where he can move his body around with relatively pain-free, you know, he should be okay. Like I said, it's in his non-throwing shoulder, so it's not a huge injury, and we should be okay.
All right, and then for those who might be watching as part of NAIA baseball, I see you have listed as second. Roosevelt Henderson is in the 2th position for tight ends this week.
Yeah, you know, Roosevelt was somebody that wasn't necessarily in there. He got a little bit of work on Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know, it came down to Friday of whether he was going to be eligible or not for that game. We knew he was going to be eligible. We just didn't know if everything was going to get in on time. We were able to get that done on Friday, so he did get a little bit of time, but ultimately we didn't rep him that much. This week he's gotten a lot of reps. And you know, the biggest thing with Roe, he works hard. He's a great guy, and we're just trying to get him into that offensive rhythm because he's never played it. But he's having a good week, and you know, ultimately you'll see him out there Saturday.
Well, it's going to be exciting. And as Spartan fans, we do want to say thank you. I do like, you guys know I'm big with stats, and here's one big stat. I don't know if you know this, but your home opener was the 3rd most watched game when you combine both people that were there live at CBC as well as on the Spartan Digital Network. Guys, we want to say thank you for that. You guys can catch all the action this Saturday at 12 p.m. as the Spartans take on Siena Heights at the Smet High School this Saturday at noon.
Can I say one last thing?
Go ahead.
All right.
It's your show.
All right. I want to give you some congratulations on completing your doctorate work, and if anybody has ever spent any time around him, we know that he can talk, we know that he can argue, so I know you have one last step. You got to stand up and argue your points, so you won't have a problem. Congratulations.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we'll see you guys.